Hi, everybody. I want to invite you to Psychic Profiles once again, and I want to introduce, for many of you people, you don't need an introduction, but this is Helen, also known as the Irish Granny. And
Thanks for having me.
and I'm so glad you're here. And she's a psychic, and we've been discussing some things before the cameras came on. But she has a very different trail from of in her life and how she ended up where she has been. And we're going to go through the 20 questions that are part of psychic profiles. And the first one is, when did you first realize you had psychic abilities?
All my life. It's in the family.
Okay. Yeah, mine's inherited too. My mother could see death, which she didn't when I know, and that's like all she ever saw. She was a nurse.
Don't look at me.
I know, no, but can you imagine? And that's why she didn't want me to do it. 'Cause she thought that's what I do. When I got older and I came out, she said, "Oh, you do other things," but that was kind of her deal. And being Irish, that's one of those things that we can sometimes get.
My mother saw elementals. And at the time, I didn't know that that's what it was. I just thought my mother was just a little odd. And she really
Yes.
wasn't. She was a very stable person. But I would come around the corner in the backyard because I grew
Hmm.
up in California, nice weather. She'd hang laundry up. I'd come around the corner and she'd be hanging clothes on the tree, on the line, but she'd be talking
To the
to the
tree.
avocado trees in Irish. So that was a trip.
Yeah, my mom, there wasn't a plant. People would have plants that were almost dead. They'd bring them to our house. She'd make them live, which was another power she had. She never recognized, but
Wow.
she had the original spiritual green thumb. Was there a single aha moment that you decided to be out now, or did it gradually
Oh,
get
you mean
there?
like to do the channel that I
Mm-hmm.
have?
Mm-hmm.
It was a really weird experience. During that unfortunate medical incident of 2020,
Mm-hmm.
I missed the news one night, and I'm not a social media person at all. I did
Mm-hmm.
nothing. And I thought, oh my God, I missed the news. They were doing counts. I don't want to get too graphic,
Yeah, I
but I
know.
wanted to know how bad it was getting. And I thought, oh, maybe there's news on YouTube. I know they record stuff, so maybe there's news.
Mm-hmm.
And I stumbled on the fact, I think I typed in the word prediction, referring to the
Mm-hmm.
problem, and stumbled into this rabbit hole of tarot card readers and astrologists and psychics. And I couldn't believe it. I thought, oh my God, this is right up my alley.
Mm-hmm.
And started really paying attention and watched a couple of tarot card readers. I've always kind of in the back of my mind thought, it might be fun someday. And
Mm-hmm.
so I got a deck on Amazon. I'm sorry.
It's
And
okay.
I did it with people. And then this is the part that's weird. I don't know how I ended up with the channel. I kind of went from fooling around in my bedroom in front of the
Mm-hmm.
TV set to getting my kids to help me set up a YouTube channel. And it was quite an ordeal because I don't do tech very well. Um, Kind of alienated 4 out of my 5 daughters. I drove them crazy.
Mm-hmm.
But finally got it set up. And in retrospect, I got it set up live on January 6th.
Oh dear.
Yeah, yeah. So, and I don't remember making that decision. I just don't, I mean, which is weird. I just don't remember.
See, I didn't have any choice. I had people telling me you need to do a channel, you need to do a channel. I was already zooming readings because I had been a reader out in the real world, and
Mm-hmm.
my old client base wanted to talk to me, so we were zooming. I had phone clients long before that, but
Oh, wow.
they wanted to talk to me, and so I have a degree in computer science and business and computer
Well,
science.
where were you when I needed you?
Well, no, what happened to me was I woke up one night, went walking through to go to the bathroom, and there was a wall in my dining room. And the voice said, "Paint the wall." And I looked down, there's a paintbrush, and I painted the wall. And as I painted it, this was a red brick wall, it melted. And there's this beautiful garden. And I said, "What the hell's that?" First of all, what the hell's that paint that is melting bricks? But also, what the hell's that? And they said, "That's Nancy Jean's garden. It's what you need to create now so people can plant their spiritual seeds."
Oh, wow. There's nothing that dramatic and poetic in my life.
So
Man, I'm
then
jealous.
the next day I told my kids, and my youngest child has a degree in computer encryption and high level computer technology to keep people out of your stuff. And I told her about it. And within 48 hours, she'd lined up an illustrator that works for the History Channel and who did my intro. We had music, we had the whole thing set up. She said, "Here's the microphone. This is what you do."
Oh, I'm really jealous.
Oh, I know everybody loved tech support and used to love to see tech support show up. But tech support, um, about 2 years ago, said, "You know all this stuff." So now I get to do my own tech support.
Well,
But,
I've never worked in an office. I mean,
oh, okay.
I've worked, but I've never worked in an office, and I'm the wrong age. Right about the time I was getting out of college, computers took up a whole gigantic room,
Mm-hmm.
floor to ceiling, and
Mm-hmm.
were really hot. The
Yeah, when I got my
temperature.
degree in computer science, that's what they look like.
And I was a science major, and I only ever had to use a computer for one day, one laboratory thing,
Wow.
because they weren't a thing, right?
Mhm.
So if you don't learn the vocabulary, you don't have some comfort with the vocabulary. It's like trying to learn. You speak English, you're trying to learn Russian, but you still don't know the alphabet in English.
Mhm.
Very difficult.
It's very
You
I
can watch all the YouTube how-tos in the world, but I have to constantly pause them to look up definitions of what they're saying.
Mhm.
It's difficult. So my daughter, I will tell you this little joke. One of my daughters, the one who successfully helped me, she said, "Oh God, Mom, that was an ordeal." And I said, "I really, really, really appreciate you helping me." And
Mhm.
she said, "Well, I had no idea how little you know about computers."
Mhm.
And I kind of told her what I just told you. And she said, "Yeah, but it's like watching chimpanzees pick up ants with sticks,
Yes, I
watching me on
know.
the computer." And she's absolutely right. But that doesn't matter. It's neither here nor there. Somehow it works. So
So it works. We're all
yeah.
here and everybody can watch us and enjoy this.
Yes. Yes.
Did you have any unusual experiences as a child in the psychic world? We're not because computers weren't around when we were
Yeah,
kids.
I had a real strong I don't know how to describe this, like a knowing about the presence of energy. If somebody were dead, or if an environment was haunted. I mean, I would
Mhm.
know. I wouldn't see it, but I would feel it. And so I
Mhm.
was always maybe reluctant to go into a place, or kind of dreading going into a place, or had invisible friends that talked
Mhm.
to me. So I kind of lived out there in the ether a little bit.
Yeah, that's pretty common, I think, among
Yeah, I think
Ghostbusters.
so too.
And the thing is that it's bad when you know about the ones who are dead, but what's worse for me was when I met creepy people who were alive.
Yeah, I would, once I was in the grocery store, and probably about five people behind me in line. I got this feeling on the back of my
Mm-hmm.
neck. I had a bunch of kids with me, and
Mm-hmm.
I turned around casually, and it was this guy. And all of my red lights went on. And he looked completely ordinary. He didn't look, like a criminal. He just like an ordinary guy. It was so bad that I was paying already. I got out of there, and I saw him coming out of the store, and I actually drove all the way around the parking lot to avoid driving past him.
Mm-hmm.
And I have no explanation for that, but when I meet people, I kind of know.
Well, my creepiest person I ever met was Richard Nixon. And I was in college and they were pushing this is a cute little 115-pound co-ed girl with long brown hair. They pushed me up to the stage where he was going to shake everybody's hand after he spoke. And I swear I put my hand up to shake his hand. It was like grabbing on to a surgical glove full of ice water. It
Mm.
was the creepy. I mean, I literally jumped back and fell into my boyfriend, who was head of the Young Republicans at the time. I was not a Young Republican, but um, and I said, "Get me out of here." I mean, it was the creepiest.
Palpable. Yeah.
Oh God. Yeah,
Yeah.
nothing ever
My
related.
mother was convinced that Richard Nixon personally shot Kennedy, like flew into Dallas, did the dirty deed. Oh, he was there that morning too. That's what's so weird. My mother had a personal grudge against him just because,
Well,
because she was intuitive.
yeah, that's right. Okay, we're going to talk a little bit about when you came out around people and started really developing your talents, how did they react?
Well, it was during quarantine, so there were not many people around. I immediately found a community of really accepting people on
Mm-hmm.
YouTube. I tentatively put out feelers to invite people outside that community to
Mm-hmm.
come and talk on my channel about books and
Mm-hmm.
ideas. And the first couple of times I sent out an invitation, I apologized. I said, I'm really sorry. I don't let the name tarot turn you away. And
Mm-hmm.
one of the authors I approached laughed at me and he said, "What are you talking about?" He said, "Every morning when I get up, I pull a tarot card to see how the day is going to go." And I thought, okay, I have to get over, my sense of it being unusual. It's not unusual at all. My family, they all think I'm crazy anyway.
Okay.
They all think I'm a little odd because I've been talking about what's happening today.
Mm-hmm.
I've been warning them it was going to happen for decades.
Right.
They call it mom's little Nazi obsession.
Mm-hmm.
And they're so disrespectful. They kind of like it, I think. I think they're kind of entertained by it. And I have a couple of friends who ask me all the time to read cards for them.
Right.
So I've gotten nothing but positive input because my kids, who cares,
Okay.
right? Yeah.
Okay. Did you seek training or did you just kind of figure things out on your own?
I did it on my own. Yeah.
You're a reader like I am. It just sort of appears to you what you need to know.
Well, you know what it's like, Nancy? It's like chapters of a book. I'll do a Celtic
Mm-hmm.
cross and I see a narrative almost always, maybe not 100%
Mm-hmm.
of the time, but it's like storybook.
Mm-hmm. Okay. And then are there specific tools that you use in your practice all the time? Are there tools like do you use pendulum? Do you use crystals? Do you use
Yeah,
cards?
yeah. I'm trying to think. Well, I use tarot cards,
Mm-hmm.
but that's not exclusively how I get
Mm-hmm.
intuitive hits. Um, I'm in a group and we are trying to elevate our abilities. And it's been a slog. But I
Mm-hmm.
think I made some kind of breakthrough because I'm starting to get, I don't know what to call them. That's why I'm struggling here. I don't know what to call it, but it's like full blown messages that I can sit down and just write out.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't use anything. Meditation, I guess, maybe.
But you use journal. You journal, right?
Not really. I don't, but I don't have time. I'm terrible. I'm so busy researching for my videos that I
Mm-hmm.
don't have time for anything else. I do a book every week
Oh,
and
okay.
I take notes,
Mm-hmm.
and that really slows you down. It consumes a lot of time.
Well, then you're reaching out for other materials and finding the information. It because
Oh, I guess you could say that. Yeah, yeah,
okay, that's
yeah,
what happens to me. It's all of a sudden out of nowhere, some channel will show up and it'll tell me about something I really did need to know about. And
yeah.
yeah, okay.
I'll
So,
be I'll be walking and listening to a podcast and a
mm-hmm,
topic presents itself and I'll
mm-hmm.
push it aside, and then I'll come home and the next day somebody talks about it and I push it aside, and the next day I open the paper and there's an article, and at that point I say, okay, I can take a
I can't
message.
avoid this one anymore. I
Yeah,
got to deal
yeah,
with it.
yeah.
Okay. So you don't have you have mentors and teachers among a group of friends that you work with, but you don't have.
Yes, yes. People who've done it much longer than I have, that are always accessible for advice and reassurance. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Okay, good. And how did you learn to tell the difference between a psychic impression and your own imagination?
Is there a difference? I
Well,
actually, I,
for some people there really isn't. Some people just they know what they know. But
yeah.
for other people they know, no, that was me and the other is Memorex.
When I was a little girl, I used to get in trouble at school all the time. I was a good student, and I wasn't bad kid, but I would get in trouble for two things: talking too much in class, there's a surprise,
Yeah.
and daydreaming.
Mm-hmm.
And I think one of the worst things, one of the biggest disservices that we've done our children is not allow them time with nothing to do,
Yes.
because there's nothing more valuable than daydreaming. Some of the greatest inventions and discoveries and artwork in the world were received in the process of just daydreaming or sleeping and dreaming.
Mm-hmm. I'm so excited you just said that, because one of the things my father said about how he educated the five of us was he always gave us times with nothing to do.
So important. Yeah.
Yes. And he said that's when you're going to find out where you are.
They don't call it spacing out for nothing. You're out there in the
Mm-hmm.
universe, and it's really important. Carl Jung talked about it. Einstein said he got some of his biggest concepts just by staring out the window.
Mm-hmm. And there it
Max
is.
Max Planck, who, well, I forget what he invented. He was a physicist.
Yes, I know.
Okay, good. Um, he attributed all of his work to daydreaming.
He has a lot to do with a lot of universal theories, and he leans towards quantum mechanics, quantum physics.
Yes. Yeah, like the father of
My
quantum.
my second husband was a physicist, and
Oh, God. Physics is my.
oh no, that was mine. And he kept the whole. People used to say to him, he was a well-known scientist, and he had invented a lot of microcircuitry, and he was there when they built the first calculators and all that stuff, because he was 20 years older than I was. And his friends would say to him, "Why are you running around with it?" Because by that time I was reading at psychic fairs. I also had a job, but I read at psychic fairs. And he'd say, "I've watched her when she reads cards. She changes." And he told me, he said, "Don't worry about it. They'll they don't understand where it comes from." So he really looked into it. And he was telling me the last 10 years we were married, from 94 to 20 to 2004. Um, it's in quantum mechanics. What you do is in quantum mechanics.
Right.
And and he, of course, he said quantum physics. He said the bad word physics. Physics is not a good word for me. And he was right. And he left me when he was dying, and he was dying of cancer. He had the books beside his bed in the hospital saying, "You need to read this one." And finally, it took 2 or 3 years before I finally sat down and read it. And he was right. It's in there. And I have struggled to understand it, but I understand it, but I can't explain it to somebody else.
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff like that resonates for me. I
Mhm.
recognize the truth in it. I can kind of explain it, but our little brains, they're just not adequate to the task. For example, the hermeticists,
Mhm.
the hermetic principles,
Mhm.
they described quantum physics, particle
Mhm.
physics, entanglement. They described all of that. They described plasma physics. It's
Mhm.
not what they called it, but that's what they described.
Mhm.
And there's a continuity and a truth that runs through an awful lot of Edgar Cayce, Carl Jung, the
Mhm.
Hermeticists, Plato. They all basically say the same thing. If you did a Venn diagram, there's a point of intersection.
Buddhists.
Yes. Yes.
um, have there been moments when you've just doubted yourself and you sort of kind of want to go, eh?
Oh, all the time. I think if you get arrogant and you think you know it all, then you should stop. Now,
That's the
all the
right
time I
answer.
question myself.
That's the
All the
right
time.
answer.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, no, really. I mean, I read every week the same wine bar for almost 10 years. And I'd set out my candles, set out my crystals, and get ready for people to come in. And I always thought, what if it doesn't work tonight? And my guide, Addie, would kick me in the side of the head and said, "It always works. Just read the cards, just go with what you feel." But it's really hard to trust your own gut. And there's a lot of shadow work involved in letting go of
Yeah.
those. You can't do that.
Well, that's ego, that
Oh, I know.
insecurity. What are they going to think? That's ego. And I will say this, that there are certain people, with whom I read that elevate me.
Hmm.
There's something about the energy.
That's what I like to do psychic profiles, because all of y'all reinforce what something I've been through that I understand. Okay.
Oh,
And
that's
then,
nice.
and how do you handle skepticism?
I just
I
laugh.
think I know the answer to this one.
You know what? Uh, I've been talking about this kind of stuff since I was about 7.
Hmm.
So I've gotten nothing but skepticism largely for a very
Hmm.
long time. So I just, when you're ready, you'll understand. I think there are some there are universal truths, and the soul has to be at the place in the process to receive the information. And that's not any kind of a judgment or anything. It took me a long time to even get where I am, and plenty far to go, plenty much more.
Well, it's partly because it's really hard for us to let go of our 3D self.
Extremely hard to accept. We can say the words, but to really digest the understanding is different. So I can say, I sit here all the time, oh, we are not our bodies, we're our souls, and our souls are energy, and your soul is eternal, and you'll be fine. But we are animals too. We're
Hmm.
trapped in this animal condition that its priority is survival. And
Right.
that makes it very difficult because we've got this material drive to survive no matter what, coming up against the spiritual understanding of a much larger truth. It's very difficult. It's a lifetime battle with
Well,
yourself.
it's fine for us to say, oh, I'm a spiritual being with an earthly body. And it's like, no, I need that earthly body, or this spiritual being ain't anywhere.
Well, before we started recording, I was telling you some of my concerns.
Hmm.
And it's hilarious because I just made a video about how, we're just in a temporary condition, and we're so much more
Hmm.
than what we fear. And fear
Hmm.
is I mean, I was just going on and on and on, and then I was thinking about what I was telling you about, and I was freaking out. So we're human. We
Well,
all.
you know what fear is? Fear is face everything and recover, or
Hmm.
F everything and run. And none of us have a pair of Adidas shoes that can run that fast.
Eventually you have to face it.
Yeah, you
Eventually,
do. And
yeah,
and that's a lot of shadow work, and
it's hard. Yeah,
it is.
process.
Okay. Have your abilities gone through weak and strong phases?
I would say all the time because it really depends on the circumstance.
Mm-hmm.
Because I think, this is my theory, that I connect with energy. And so it
Okay.
depends a lot on the energy I'm trying to access.
Right. I have some energy that's reached out and touched me that I didn't want to be near.
Well, yeah, yeah.
I mean, no. Yeah, my understanding about that one. How do you protect your own energy personally? Do you have a ritual or an idea or?
Yes, I heard a kind of a shortish little prayer.
Hmm.
It's not praying to God, it's just putting this out there to the cosmos, and visualizing. You say, I am the light. The
Hmm.
light is in me, and that's the ultimate truth. The
Hmm.
light moves through me. The light surrounds me. The light protects me. I always say that before I start doing anything. And then I burn some sage.
Yeah. Well, I think it's good. I think it's good for people to have kind of have an awareness. If you've I use the thing, every class I teach, every group I work with, I teach them the violet flame, which it's a little Christiany if they're not, if that offends them. But I said, look, it's just energy. I robe them this way because I grew up in that environment.
Mm-hmm,
um
mm-hmm.
but I call in these angels to come and swoop through with a ascended master Saint Germain, swoop through my house, grab up all the bit gooey stuff, get it out of everything, take it up to the big laundromat in the sky, run it through the white light clearing, and then bring the energy back, so that, and just clear the energy up. And Danny Shea gave me a hard time about what big laundromat in the sky. So I actually went and found an AI thing and made a laundromat in the sky. But um, I had a lady who did it and she thought it was kind of like, oh, that's a cute idea. But then she decided one day, oh, I'll read it. And she thought the room got brighter. So she went around and did it through her whole house. This was at the height of COVID when no one came around you. And she thought, well, it's just my imagination. I've been on my own too much. But she had one friend who would visit her house. And that friend came over 2 days after she'd done all this. And she said, did you change the drapes? Have you changed the lighting in here?
Oh,
And she
isn't
went,
that
oh
interesting?
my
Oh,
God.
wow.
And so she told her friend. So her friend went and did it at home. And, when we sit at home or when we sit in isolation and we don't reach out that way, we may not. I mean, I'm never call in. I don't sit around saying, oh, little demons, please come bother me. I don't even say negativity of any kind, please come bother me. But it drifts through. And I think we need to acknowledge that. If we're dealing with energy, you got to deal with energy in all its forms.
Yeah, yeah. You need to protect yourself if you're going to do this sort of stuff, because the reality is we live in an environment of energies much stronger and older than we are,
Mm-hmm.
with a lot of their own intention. And
Mm-hmm.
what do we know?
Right.
Yeah.
Even in our phones, apparently people keep thinking the energy in our
Oh,
phone.
don't even get me started with the stupid phones.
Okay,
Just,
so now we're going to your wisdom and insights.
oh
And
God. Well, this will be a short little bit. Okay, go ahead.
let's got 4 questions here. Do you think psychic abilities are innate or can anyone develop them?
I
Not
think anybody can develop them.
okay.
You have to work at it. But I do think it's like any kind of an ability. Like, let's say you want to play the piano. Now, you may be Paderewski and be a world famous concert pianist because you have whatever wiring you've inherited. You're good
Mm-hmm.
at that. Or you may be like me, 2 fingers. Um, I think that psychic ability runs in families.
Mm-hmm.
And I think partly it's karmic,
Mm-hmm.
partly it's a comfortable level with it and a familiarity with it in the
Mm-hmm.
family, and partly it's wiring. Your nervous systems are genetically wired the same. I think anybody can nurture psychic ability. Absolutely.
Right. Okay. I couldn't agree with you more. And what might you say to someone if they feel like they're gifted? I mean, I know I always tell them study something, pick something up and try to use it and see if it works. And if it doesn't fit you, I've trained tarot readers that went on to become galactic astrologers.
Yeah,
Because
dabble, right? Dabble. And
right.
it's like anybody, you want to play an instrument and you're in the 4th grade and your parents get you, I don't know, a recorder,
Mm-hmm.
and you realize I like the music, I don't like the way I'm delivering music. And
Mm-hmm.
so you find another thing that you like to use. It's perfectly okay to change your mind and experiment.
Mm-hmm. There's nothing wrong with that. And then how does this work? How has your work changed your worldwide view or beliefs in life and death?
Oh, that's a big question.
I told you we got 20 of them, kid. We got an hour to fill.
Well, it's no secret I was raised Catholic,
Mm-hmm.
and I equate, I hope I don't offend anybody, and this is my truth, right? I equate organized, institutionalized religion with patriarchy and theocracy and
Mm-hmm.
oppression. And I went 17 years to Catholic schools. I mean, it was
Oh, poor
well and
baby.
truly
Poor
indoctrinated.
baby. Poor
Yeah,
baby.
I know. I got a good education.
Mm-hmm.
I came out the other end resentful. It was during, the ERA and women's movement and everything. And I really gravitated towards that because that felt like truth to me.
Mm-hmm.
And the patriarchal stuff that I'd had shoved down my throat never resonated for me. I liked incense, I liked Gregorian chant, and that's about it.
I
I
love the
like
ritual.
lit Latin, yeah, but that's it. So when I did a rejection, I became an atheist.
Mm-hmm.
And then for a long time, I was busy. I didn't think about it at all. And then I became more interested, but I was more of an agnostic. I used to tell people I don't want to piss off any God that might exist.
Mm-hmm.
So I'll acknowledge that it's a
Mm-hmm.
possibility, right? When I started doing this, I got my grounding.
Mm-hmm.
I found my path and never looked back.
You see, I was raised Protestant, a Presbyterian, even more. I mean, not even anywhere.
Ooh, they don't smile much.
Um, and but the two people who told me when I was young that I was gifted and I had a gift and not to ever let anyone take it away from me were nuns. And, one was the nun who taught me theater, which was an after school program that I went to. I did not go to Catholic school, but I was surrounded by the Catholic Church. I grew up in a big Catholic town.
Well, they were determined to get their clutches into you.
No, Sister Ermengarde wasn't, but Sister Mary Fernanda. And she's the one who said, "You have a gift, child." And she said, "Don't let anyone ever take it away from you. Don't turn away from it. I've seen it when you work up on the stage. It's there with you." And you know, I and it was years later I remember her saying that. I could hear her say that when
Mm-hmm,
something happened, and I thought, well, this is where I'm going to go.
mm-hmm.
Anyway, so I know I'm so glad I wasn't raised in the Catholic Church. I apparently met the two nuns that were sane out of that whole mess.
Well, no, and to be fair, I had nuns all the way through, and they were just like anybody else. There were the great ones, and then there were the really
Mm-hmm.
awful ones, and
Mm-hmm.
it's not fair to stereotype them. And I think a lot of women went into the convent, and I'm generalizing, but a lot of women went into the convent because what else did they have? That was
Right.
the choice that seemed the only thing available.
Okay. Now that we've talked about all the little penguins we ever knew as children, what is one of the most powerful readings you've ever done? If you can think about that, or you can just sort of generalize, but talk about because the follow up is for you is why is it memorable to you?
Nothing jumps out. I can give you a classification of
Okay.
readings. Yeah, there's
Mm-hmm.
no one specific one. I really like to do political readings
Mm-hmm.
because for some reason, uh, that energy is just easy for me to tap into. I
Mm-hmm.
don't know why. Uh, I guess I feel like maybe that's why I'm supposed to be doing this, because I'm supposed to be
Mm-hmm.
talking about it because it needs to be talked about.
Right.
But when I do political readings, it's just laid out there, clearly. So I can't give you an example of helping somebody.
No, that's fine. No,
Okay.
if your readings engage someone's mind and take them to a different place or help them understand the place they're standing in or give them clarity, that's perfectly fine.
I've gotten some pushback from readings that have been really interesting.
Ooh.
Really interesting. I did a whole thing on Project 2025,
Mm-hmm.
and people went insane. You're imagining things, you're paranoid, of course, this was a guy. I'm a girl, so I was hysterical, right?
Mm-hmm.
and here we are.
My son, who still works in politics, Sean, he has a channel and he read that whole thing and he broke it apart into 15 parts. He said, "This is what you need to understand that's in there." And I had people that follow me and then they go over and they watch my young son, who's 50, um, and they go, "My God, that's so scary." And I said, "That's written on paper, and people don't write that kind of crap down without there being."
Unless they mean it. Yeah, I did the same thing in a way, probably not from the official political way that he did, but I said, okay, this is what it says.
Mm-hmm.
This is how they say it's going to look in your life, but this is
Mm-hmm.
really the
Yeah.
ultimate goal for it. Yeah, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Okay. And how do you deliver complex messages when you're getting a lot of information in and it's complex? How do you sort of sort out what you think people can handle, or you just say what's ever there?
I'm famous for just blurting things out. But when I'm picking a topic to talk
Mhm.
about that I think is really important, I write out my thoughts before I ever
Mhm.
record because otherwise I distract myself and I go off on tangents and,
Oh, you live out in that world too, huh?
I'm looking out the window right now.
Mhm. What advice would you give someone who's just starting to explore their gifts?
Try a little bit of everything. Don't be afraid to make mistakes. It's process. And there, it's not really a matter of making mistakes. It's a matter of finding your way. You
Mhm.
kind of stumble along, and be proud and grateful that you're able to access that energy because some people never do.
Mhm. And do you have any daily habits or exercises that you go through or you to work in your thing?
Well, I was walking every day, except my knee is giving out.
Oh no.
No, I don't really. Not really. I'm a very undisciplined person. My daily habit is I have to have espresso and the New York Times crossword puzzle. I have to get into a place of relaxation. Um, I discipline myself to, well, I'll show you. I make myself a little calendar
Okay.
of the week
Mhm.
and then everything that I want to address throughout the week. And you can see all the cross outs because I rearrange things
Mhm.
depending on who's available. Other than that, no, I'm not very disciplined and organized. I'm organized, but not that way. Yeah.
Oh, okay. And then how can someone find a trustworthy psychic community or mentor? You didn't have to find a mentor. You kind of work with groups of people, but
Well,
that
I'll tell you how I started out is I was, like I told you, just watching people for my
mhm.
own entertainment. And eventually I thought, I won't name names, but there were a couple of people that are fairly well known on YouTube psychic circles.
Mhm.
And I guess I have no shame. I just reached out to them.
Mhm.
I said, I'd really like to talk to you. Would you be willing to talk with me? And think I got really lucky. I think I've only ever had one person that I really admired from afar. And it's not a YouTube psychic type person. It's
Mhm.
somebody involved in progressive news.
Okay.
And I really admired this person for a very long time. And I reached out, and this person agreed to join me. And it was the worst conversation I've ever had. I faked it, people loved it. But I was doing all the heavy lifting because this person spent the entire time looking at the phone.
Oh, sheesh.
It was awful. And I would say something and it would just go like a lead balloon. I think you have to not be afraid to reach out to people. Most people are happy to help and
Mhm.
accommodating and want to share. And people get flattered if you ask for help.
Oh yeah. Oh, I found that too. Um, what's the biggest lesson you've learned on your psychic journey?
Well, I guess two, not to be afraid to reach out to people who are
Mhm.
strangers. And then kind of the spiritual evolution that I
Mhm.
made. Yeah.
Yeah, and be aware that it is an evolution.
Yeah.
And I think it's you were talking about how you've gone from having been raised in a strict church to then becoming an atheist and becoming an agnostic, and now you're working on a show about Gnostics.
Yeah,
So
that's
this
coming
is
up. Yeah. Yeah. I've done the whole spectrum. I've done Stoics and the Hermeticists and
hmm
uh Plato, and I mean I've just gone through all Buddhism. I did a whole
hmm
series on Buddhism because that's my path, my learning, and I just
hmm
recorded it and shared it because I figure if I am wanting to learn about it,
hmm
surely there are people out there who want to learn about it.
yes, and we appreciate that, and I appreciate you coming by and meeting with me today. Is there
Oh,
anything you
happy
want
to.
to say in conclusion? Is there any place you're heading off to or place you want people to know about where they can see you?
Well, yes. in a little bit here, I'm going to be recording. Well, it's not recording, it's live with Deborah and Denise and a woman named Bove. And we do a thing called the Cosmic Fold. And it's all about metaphysics and the paranormal and philosophy. You never know what you're going to get. Last week, we discussed the difference between religion and spirituality. This week, I can't remember what she said we were going to do. I never prepare, I just show up and pontificate. But I wanted to say something to you.
What?
I wanted to say thank you for inviting me.
Oh.
And you are a perfect example of what I was saying. People reach out in this community and inevitably they're lovely. And this has been great. It's been really a lot of fun. It's a pleasure to meet you. And I think it's a perfect example of what I was trying to say.
Yeah. And I think we need to look at what I have watched Helen do several different shows, but the one that I saw that triggered me, oh my God, she never got back to me about being on Psychic Profiles. You did a show on Jean Dixon. And I, as a child, had read Jean Dixon's books and I knew quite a bit about her. And, you know, she was one of those things like, I'm not crazy. This lady does this and she sits in the White House with Eisenhower, you know?
Yeah.
So, I mean, we all need to find the light where we can find it because there's certainly more than enough things trying to make us look at the dark crap.
And just so people don't think I'm terrible that I didn't reply to you, my inbox in my I don't check it often enough. And my inbox is absolutely inundated by all the resources that put out daily information and they send you a newsletter, you know. So I'm getting all kinds of Substacks and stuff from podcasts, and I have lost or not seen so many messages that actually matter, and I have yet to learn to discipline myself to check each one carefully before I just clear the whole thing.
Well, I went send them out in the fall and I sent out a huge mass letter, and I'm not doing that now. I'm doing 2 or 3 invitations a week. Trying to kind of so I can keep track of it because I lose track of it too. But
that might actually be more effective because people might notice it.
Right.
If it's, fewer
and
people.
If you are a psychic or a reader that's out there and you'd like to be a part of it, you'll find in the description below how to reach me by email or how to go over to my channel. I'd love to have the opportunity to talk to you. And I just so enjoyed it. You remind me so much of all of my Irish family. It's just unreal.
Can't help it. It's in the genetics.
Oh, I know.
Can't escape it. I try. No, I don't. But it's in the genetics. You can't argue with your background, right?
Right. Anyway, everyone, we look forward to seeing you. Keep your eye out for the next Psychic Profiles. Thank you, Granny.
Thank you, Nancy. And
Helen is my mother's name, so it's like,
oh, well, the best name. You know what Helen means in Greek?
No.
Light.
Light. Ah.
I used to resent that because I'm not. But now I'm looking, it never occurred to me that light as opposed to darkness. Yes. Duh. Yeah.
Duh. Yeah. Anyway, well, we'll see everyone later. Thank you for
coming. Thank you, everybody.
Bye.